Welcome, I'm Rabbi Phil Bressler of Beit Am in Corvallis, Oregon, and this is the daily summary video for the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch Yomi Daily Halakha Learning Project, covering the passage from Sivan 94, Seif 20, to Sivan 94, Seif 27. You can find links to the Hebrew and English text of this passage and to the calendar of upcoming passages in this video's description. We're going to keep talking about Eruvei Chatzerot, so dealing with the case of a non-Jew living in a courtyard complex, thereby voiding an Eruv Chatzerot that's made by the Jews who live there, unless they rent that non-Jew's apartment from them. So the period of the rental doesn't have to be definite. The the rental can remain valid indefinitely if it's unspecified until there's some sort of change, like somebody moves in or moves out, or they sell their place, or somebody dies. If there is a new rental agreement required, you also have to make a new Eruv. The Eruv is not automatically renewed. If the non-Jew doesn't want to rent their whole premises to you, all you have to do is get permission to store an object with them in a particular space. Now, even if you don't actually use that space, you've theoretically got an easement to get into that space now and to store your object there. And that is enough co-ownership of that non-Jew space to enable making an Eruv. A footnote adds that apparently even a Jew who doesn't actually live in the courtyard can make this ask, which sounds pretty useful if, say, there's some bad blood between the non-Jewish neighbor and the Jews who live there. If they're specifically hostile and are going to say no to you or any of the other residents, you can have someone else come and ask and make that arrangement. That Jew can then grant you that access that they rented and share that access with you, and then you can go ahead and make an Eruv to be able to carry it in your courtyard. An apostate, that's someone who's converted out of Judaism, is considered to be a non-Jew. You're going to have to rent from them if they live nearby. Kitzur also mentions someone who publicly desecrates Shabbat as someone who's counted as a non-Jew. This is meant to exclude someone who is actively antagonistic to Jewish practice but hasn't converted out. Not like, say, a Reform Jew or something whose practice might be called desecration by some, but is still clearly in good faith. A kind of Eruv you might have heard of before this, probably the most common one you may have interacted with, is one that encompasses a whole town or a whole neighborhood. In Brookline, Massachusetts, where I lived for a time, also in Newton, there were Eruvim that would serve to set up carrying even within what would otherwise be a public domain. So these are usually made with an encircling string or wire, and you can do that and combine basically all the domains together into one to enable carrying out of your house and actually all the way to synagogue, for example. You still, though, have to rent the property, rent access from all the non-Jews who are inside that Eruv, which apparently you can do by talking to the mayor or presumably the city council or whatever, and they can rent to you on everyone's behalf. If the Eruv breaks during Shabbat, there's no carrying allowed until it's fixed. You can, though, have apparently a non-Jew fix it for you. The Kitzur calendar says to do the first Seif of Siman 95 today, but we'll save introduction to that new concept until tomorrow. That's all for today. As always, our learning is dedicated to Rabbi Shlomo Gansfried, the author of the Kitzur, and the historic Jewish community of Usharat, Ukraine. See you tomorrow.